I'm so
Yes.
happy to see you. Tony nominee.
Thank you so much.
Did you expect to get to use that
What is
title?
the opposite of expect? I literally never crossed my mind. You know, and very early on, Patti LuPone.
LuPone, yes. I know
I
her.
would just, may I say, it was an honor to be on stage with Patti. And she's even forgetting her magnificent voice and all the other parts,
Yeah.
countless awards for superb performances of a lifetime. Forgetting that, when you walk on stage with Patti, you're in your space. We were in our secluded space. We were in that kitchen. We were in for the journey every single night. She's the person you want to be on stage with. Early on, she thought of Tony Awards and she said, forget the Tony Awards. And I'm like, that never even crossed my mind. And she said, well, we can just forget it because we were going to close December 15. And she said, and the Tonys, and I'm like, She said, they're in June. I'm like, oh, so she said, yeah, this little play will be long forgotten. I'm like, okay, let's just get through tonight. That's where I was, you know. So, you know, I never thought about it. It was really Marie that called me.
Yeah.
And I was washing my hair, you know. Some people were probably watching television thinking they might be nominated. I was not among them. I was just washing my hair, not even thinking of that at all. And Marie told me. And I just, I don't even know what I said. I don't know. But then after I hung up the phone, you know, I had to wash the soap out of my hair. And I just thought I would, can I tell anyone? Who would I? It's not like you can.
Now what do I do?
Yeah, now I wanted to tell someone, and it turned out, I'm going to make me cry. I wanted to tell my mom because of all the people in my life, she would have been the happiest. She would have been the proudest. It would have meant so much to her.
Wow.
It's not like I could call any of my kids or somebody and say, guess what? Because, I mean, nobody cares that I would get a Tony nomination, but my mom would have cared so much. And then I started really missing my mom.
Wow.
It was one of those moments that learning that I had a Tony nomination made me miss my mom.
That's beautiful. And
Well, it's beautiful. It's also really sad because I had a great mom.
I was thinking of your mom this morning too, because she kind of exposed you to Broadway, right? Didn't you get to see her when you were a teenager on Broadway? Like you came here and got to see her sort of launch this whole part of her career. So I feel like you probably were walking around these theaters with your mom first.
Well, she would do she was doing her 8 shows a week, and I was done with school. I was 17, and you know, I was backstage with her a lot. I didn't quite know. It was my first time being in New York. She was staying in a hotel, so we had some really good food. But there was a woman who played her daughter, who was I think about 30, and there was her understudy, about the same age, who between shows was going on an audition, and she asked if I wanted to come. And I had never seen auditions before, so I said sure. And I went to her audition, and there were other people auditioning, and I said, do you think I could try? I said, yes, go right ahead. I got the part. It was in The Importance of Being Earnest. And I, at the time, had an English accent that I could turn on and off, because my parents had, you know, that's how I was brought up. So anyway, I got the part. So.
And where was that? That was off Broadway.
It was Madison Avenue Playhouse. I guess it's gone now.
Right.
So, you know, I got that part. And it was her friend, Vivian Lee, who sent the press and gave me an agent, sent a person who became my agent. I mean, she really helped me in a huge way.
Right. So it all started with the stage and with theater.
Yes.
For you, yeah.
Yes.
And then you took off. Hollywood. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like you're so young. Your career, you started on the stage, but then you sort of, it turned into something.
I did a summer of summer stock,
Oh yeah, where
that
was
summer. Youngstown, Ohio, and that's where the Kenley Players
Okay.
were a team of summer players.
Yeah.
That a big star would go. That was Gardner McKay was the big star.
Yeah.
The play was called My Three Angels, and I had a small part in that. So,
Wow.
because I wanted to keep going. Then I understudied an actress named Susan Tyrrell, wonderful. It was down in the Village, Circle and Square. It was down there then. And I got a job waiting tables. And I was scared coming home because 11 o'clock back in the day, the subway was really not that safe. But, I did it. But Leora Dana, Estelle Parsons, these women were in these wonderful, actors were in this play. So I never got to go on for Susan Tyrrell, but I got to watch them, and I just learned everything Susan did, and all. I took it really seriously, so that when I went on, I would get it right, so right that they would probably want me. They'd probably hope that Susan would leave the play soon because I was going to be that good. Never happened, but the agent that Miss Lee had sent round asked if he could represent me, and yeah, she really jump-started my career.
Yeah, but you've always come back to the stage, and it's always felt like such an important sort of thread in your career all these years.
I think I shouldn't say better, because but I'm more comfortable on the stage. I like it better.
Okay, I like the experience
feel
of it.
More, and I prefer. When I was in England, I worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company for that time, and we did some really good plays.
Yeah.
And I hope I got better as we did them, and I do love being on the stage, and I hope there will be another time. But I think the play, when I did The Roommate, I think it gave me an uncommonly good part. And I would hope for something that good again, but it might not happen.
So let's talk about Sharon, because I loved Sharon. That was her name.
Yes.
Nice, lovely woman in Iowa, trying to figure out life alone, right? The kids are gone. And then this hurricane, Patti LuPone, shows up. I mean, that's like the really easy
Yes.
But there's like these two women, very different, dealing with each other. And it was so fun and funny to watch you. I mean, you said you weren't thinking of yourself on Tony Morning. I was thinking of you because I saw that performance, and it was beautiful, beautiful work, honestly.
Thank you.
So
much. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's very well deserved. I could also just gush about all of your my favorite films, but we'll keep it very focused on your Tony nomination. We don't have all day. But what was it like for you standing on that stage and hearing? I'm sure you were really soaking in the audience, and obviously with Patti LuPone, it's like you're two beloved people and of different, very. It's also such a lovely mix, the two of you, right? You must have felt all of that from the audience.
Sure. And great audiences that came.
Yeah.
Patti would always peer out to see who was there. And,
she did?
Yeah. And she's like, are my gay boys there? Because she wanted the jokes to get, the laughs.
I need my gay boys.
Yes, the people who get sharp and get the jokes,
You have your gay boys too, I think. Pretty sure.
I hope so. I hope
you
so.
do.
Really?
I affirm.
That makes me very happy to hear that.
So Patti would make sure the gay boys were there.
She hoped.
Okay,
because
hoped.
She thought,
Right.
I mean,
she doesn't just want the matinee
jokes
ladies
to go well, and of course, and people would come backstage and they would go right to Patti's room because she's worked with everyone,
Yeah.
Anyway, and we had a little ritual before we went on.
Okay.
Just a few seconds. I wouldn't. She'd go checking the audience, and then we would say a little prayer, not together, separately, whatever. Just a second. We would hug each other and say, "Let's have fun," and we would walk out. And it was her idea to go out first, so that we would get the whatever hello applause over with, so that we could begin the play.
Right.
She's so smart about it.
That was smart. Yeah, the entrance applause. I remember that. You just kind of came out like, here we are.
Yeah.
Gay boys, cheer, and now we're going to do a play for you.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. But did you? I just can't imagine at this point in your career, with everything you've done, what it was like to get those, 3 or 4 months with Jack O'Brien, your director, and Patty and Jen, the playwright, and just these Broadway audiences. It just must be such like a beautiful little capsule
Heaven.
of life to look back on now.
It really was. And now that I can look back, I do see it as a heavenly bubble, because I was in a hotel, so my life was the hotel room, my dressing room, the stage, back to my dressing room, back to the hotel room.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
I only went out twice, once on Thanksgiving to Ronan's house.
Wow.
And once Ronan and his partner took me to lunch in the summer during a rehearsal day. I guess I had one day off.
Wow.
So in the park when it was summer, that was it.
Wow.
Because it was a lot, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And I had initiated a lot of the talking in that play. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I don't know.
And stay healthy.
Stay healthy, and I didn't drink any caffeine. Of course, I wouldn't drink any wine, anything like that.
Right.
I just, and it was a joy. And I had one line, I forget what it was, but Patty said, maybe you hit that line harder, the laugh will get bigger. And it was a big laugh line. And I tried it, and it did get bigger.
That must have been fun. When you know that you have really alive audiences, it must be fun every night to sort of play with those little, especially that play, because there's the two of you. I feel like you could always sort of like test things with the rhythm of it.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was fun knowing the audience was having fun.
Yeah. What did your kids think? I mean, I saw what Ronan, who I admire greatly, what he thought on his social media. He was very excited that you were on Broadway. But what was it like for all of them?
They all came.
Okay.
And Ronan came, I don't know how many times. He's just so supportive, and all the kids were wonderful. But he had seen already all the Broadway play. He goes to all the plays, and so, he kind of. I mean, for the other kids coming in, they don't go to Broadway. Most of them don't go to Broadway plays, so they were lovely. But Ronan was just over the moon. He just thinks I'm the best actor in the world, and blah blah blah. He's the one. He started talking. I said, "Oh, stop talking about Tonys." And then I told him what Patty said. I said, "Please, just don't. My goodness, because I don't want to disappoint you. That's not it." I did it, and that was a big deal for me. And it was.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal for me.
Yeah, I love that. So you're a first-timer,
Yes.
Tony nominee.
Yes.
How does it feel at this point in your life to get to be a first-timer?
As I said, it's a big deal for me. I'm kind of still pinching myself, and just to, sit at a table like that luncheon with all these great people, and just to be among, the Broadway community is the best community in the world. I don't see anything but love and admiration for each other. Yeah. All these artists many of whom have worked together in a variety of plays.
Sure.
So, you risk your entire career every time you open in a new play. And you're all on the same tightrope, like, are we going to crash? Will I ever get hired again? Will I get blasted? We'll take the chance together.
Yeah.
And it's a high wire act of a certain kind. And so everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And there's just a mutual respect for each other. We have colossal talent all over Broadway, right now and always.
Yeah.
And then just to, be seated in the same room with all those people who have just been so kind to me. Yeah. The nicest community in the world. And in a time, honestly, let's just say it, our country is so troubled, and truths and a lot is more fragile than it should be. Just being able to do that play every night felt like an act of hope.
Yeah. You have been to the Oscars. You've been to Cannes Film Festival. You've done it all in your career. What about the Tonys feels unique and special? And what feels different about this experience? I mean, you talk about it like a wide-eyed kid, and you're talking about you can't believe you're in the room with these people, and they're all looking at you, thinking we can't believe we're with Mia Farrow. I mean,
I don't think that's
you
what
do
they're
realize
thinking,
when
but
you
they
walk in a room, there's just a lot of history and a lot of love. You feel that, yes, but from the community.
I feel the community has that for each other.
Yeah.
You know, I walk in the room with Sadie Sink, and I said, who would you like to meet in this whole room? It was an array of people, of Broadway stars. And she said, oh, Jonathan Groff. And I'm like, of course, well, I kind of know him a little bit from the other week. So I brought her over to meet Jonathan, who happens to be talking to Audra McDonald. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, these people are, of course they're iconic, but colossal talents.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, yes, I've worked with movie stars and stuff, but Audra, Jonathan, they can sing, they can dance, they can act, and they're good and kind people.
Yeah.
I've known Audra for a long time.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, I'm just delighted to know, you know, even a little. I mean, he's just a lovely, everybody's so lovely.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. It sounds corny, but it's true.
Yeah. So Tony night.
Yes.
How are we approaching something like this? Do you still, can you handle a red carpet? Does it give you anxiety? Or how do you feel about doing the event of it all?
I'll probably zone out a little bit on the, you know, because what are you supposed to think? Not much. I see from the photographs of some of the events that I've gone to recently, some people like pose, you know, there are ways that people have, and I thought, I've got to find a way. It's too late. I thought, too late to find a way of posing. I think you just get through. You just get through. I'm not, you know, I'm actually not a very outgoing person.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I love to be in a play. Yes, I love to be on the stage.
Yeah.
I love having the honor of offering a really good play to an audience. There's a lot I don't love about public life, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I live way in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just show up, you look celebratory and smile, and people will be delighted to see you. And
I think
that's all
it'll
it
be
is.
just a big thrill to be there.
Yeah. But maybe Cola Scola could show you some tips for
Yes.
posing, I'll bet. Or there's many people who could help you with that.
That's right. I love Cole.
And so where do you see, does this, at this point in your career, does this inspire you in any way towards what you want to do next? And you said you would be open to doing more theater. How do you look at like the next adventure?
I'm not a big planner because that's a waste of time in the end in life. But I would very much like to do another play if I can find one that has, you know, that's worth, because it's a huge amount of work.
Yeah.
It takes a chunk out of your life.
Yeah.
You don't have another life during that period of time, so you've got to really love doing it. And if that came my way, yes. But that's a big if.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see you at the Tonys. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm so thrilled that you're a part of the party this year.
Thank you.